So today's problem is a stuck seat post. This beautiful steel lugged frame Cyclops bike has an anodized aluminum seat post in it, and it is stuck firm. So things we have tried so far, we put penetrant, I shouldn't say we, the owner of the bike, my direction. He applied penetrant down the seat tube, tried to work it down in there, let that sit for about a week or so. Then we tried applying heat and warmed it up good, and then started turning on the seat. And I thought, first off, we thought, oh, this is going good, but not so much. Okay, so yeah, it's stuck firmly in there. So then the next thing I did was drilled a 3/8 inch hole through the seat post, and the purpose of that was to have some way to grab onto it with the slide hammer bearing puller. So the hope was that the impact coupled with heating the tube and expanding the steel. Okay, so we got a grip in the holes there, just to show you how this worked. And a piece of tape marking that, so you can see if we're making any progress. But I did that for quite a while with the tube heated and made no progress at all. So we want to do this non-destructively to the bike frame. We don't care about destroying the seat post, but at the same time, if you know, all attempts fail, the seat post is at the correct height for the owner of the bike, but he wants to be able to, you know, package it up to travel and so forth. So one option is to use a jab saw, basically a hacksaw blade with a handle on it, and cut from the inside out. So I had to determine how far in it goes, so I put the bore scope in, and I determined that the post extends down to this decal. So the next thing we're going to do is just cut it off right there with a hacksaw. I've got a jab saw that will reach down far enough, but before I do that, I'm going to thin the walls out. I have an adjustable reamer that adjusts from 7/8 to 1 inch, and the internal diameter is just enough so I can get it in at the lowest setting. So I'll ream that out progressively until I get it up to 1 inch, and then it's a 27/2 seat post, so then there won't be that much wall thickness to go. With the jab saw, carefully, that will be a delicate operation, cutting the post hopefully without gouging the seat tube. I've taken the bottom bracket out and put a shop rag in there so that we don't get any metal cuttings into the bottom bracket. So I'm going to cut the post off here. I want to leave enough room that I can drill another hole through, so maybe the slide hammer will come in handy once we make a cut through it, and leave enough room. Actually, the post extends down to just about there. Yeah, and yeah, so we're going to cut it off about here and just cut some slits in it with the jab saw. I've put the saw blade in here so that the cutting action is on the upstroke. I think I can control it better that way rather than on the downstroke. Alright, so before we go at it with the jab saw, I'm going to put the adjustable reamer down through it a few times. It expands out from 7/8 to 1 inch, and it should go down just about to the bottom of the post. So we're going to thin it down a little bit and make it a little bit less work to cut out. It'll be easier to, once we do put a cut or two through it, it'll be easier to maybe collapse it in on itself. This is the main reason I took the bottom bracket out, because this is going to create a lot of shavings. And I use a vice grip instead of a T-handle here, so that I don't lose my grip on it and have it fall down the tube. That wouldn't be too good. Alright, so now we've thinned the wall down somewhat with the reamer, a couple passes. So we'll make a couple of cuts back here at the jab saw. This is where it gets tricky. We don't want to cut into the frame tubing. We just want to cut through the seat post. Alright, so I made several passes with the adjustable reamer. I thinned the walls of the tube down quite significantly. The only thing I run into is as you adjust the reamer to a larger diameter, it actually moves the reamer up the shaft. So now we're at the point where to go any bigger, I'm not going deep enough anymore to penetrate down to the bottom of the seat post. So I've got about as much as I can with that. So I've got a couple of saw slits in there that I'm all the way through at the top, but I have to be really careful that I don't go into the steel. I'm going to try a little bit more with that, maybe make another cut or two with the jab saw. And if that doesn't give me results, then I think we'll probably be resorting to chemical treatment, sodium hydroxide. That we're going to have to do outside. I'm going to have to gear up for it because it's nasty stuff. But it will eat the aluminum out of there and presumably not damage the steel. Not something I've done before, but yeah, it'll be a slow, careful process if we have to resort to that. But we're going to try it a little bit more with the saw, very carefully, gingerly, because I do not want to damage this frame. Alright, so far my attempts have failed. So far we've tried a temperature differential with a heat gun and the slide hammer. That didn't work. I've taken the jab saw and cut a couple of slits down here, but I'm getting really nervous about cutting too deep and getting into the steel. We're going to make another attempt at temperature differential, but we're going to work at it from two angles. I'm going to heat the outside with a heat gun, and I'm going to put this baggie down the seat tube, and then I've got some windshield washer fluid in the freezer. So it will get much colder than water without freezing. And so what we'll do is we'll heat that with the heat gun, and then we'll pour the windshield washer, the chilled windshield washer fluid down here into the baggie, and hopefully that'll make enough of a difference in the size to get it out of there. Let's see what happens. Alright, so I've got the tube heated up. I'll pour some of this very chilly liquid down here and see if it... Problem is we got the baggie folded up so much that I hope some of it's going to run down in there. I originally thought about doing it with a balloon, but the balloons that I picked up are like party balloons for making animals, and they in their, even after you blow them up in their deflated state, they're still very skinny, so that wouldn't have worked. I've got some of that running down in there. Got a pan under the bottom bracket there in case the baggie ruptures and we have a spill. Let's seal up the baggie if we can. I hope enough of it worked its way down in there to chill it a bit. It's very cold. Alright, let's see if that gave us the results we want. Nothing. I'm wishing now that I hadn't cut it, we could use the slide hammer. Throw a bit more heat at the outside before we give up on this. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Next. All right, well, on to the next bright idea. All right, first thing we need to do is test our butyl plug and see if it's watertight, and also to see what volume of water we need to get up to the first braze on there. And we're starting with 2 cups or 500 milliliters. So we fill up the tube, and right away we see, yeah, we got leakage. All right, so it's leaking out the plug, so we got some work to do there. So I made about 3 attempts here to get this sealed up. The last time it was just dribbling out a little bit, so I've got this, the top of the seat tube or seat post jammed full of the butyl tape. The issue was that because I had cut all these slits with the jab saw and tried to pry it out there, it's kind of all jagged and ragged at the top, so there were places for it to leak out. Anyway, I've got it all sealed up, including down the slit in the back there, and yeah, hopefully it'll be watertight. Yeah, we're going to try it now. Alright, we've got a cup of the sodium hydroxide solution mixed up, and I've put a bolt in the first bottle cage hole with some butyl tape around it so it doesn't leak out of there. I've got the water hose at the ready. I've got the PPE on. So now we're going to pour that stuff down the tube. I miscalculated. I didn't think any would come out the top hole there, but just rinse that off. Okay. It appears we've got the top of the post plugged off. I don't see any leaking out. So we'll leave it for a couple hours and see what happens. Well, it's only been a couple of minutes and already I can hear some action going on in there, and it's kind of bubbling out the other bottle cage bolt there. I'm going to have to keep it rinsed off so it doesn't damage the paint. Alright, so I did not capture the moment that it happened, but it did happen. The post came out. After repeated attempts at melting it out with the sodium hydroxide, it finally succeeded. So now, down the tube there, I don't know if we're going to shine a light down there and see. It definitely needs some cleaning out. There's some residue there from the lye, and 27.2 seat post, which is the size it requires. It goes down about that far before I meet a lot of resistance. So we don't want to wind up, in the same situation. So we're going to ream it out just to clean it up. So I have a 27.2 millimeter reamer, and we're going to clean up the tube with it. We need put some cutting oil down in there. So we're definitely getting some shavings out of there. I'm wondering whether possibly wasn't reamed at all when it was first built. Alright, so we've got it down as deep as we can go with that. You know, it gets us down in around there, so that should be lots deep enough for any size or any length of post that he wants to use. Lots of chips and shavings. And a nice clean looking bore. Awesome. Alright, so now I'm going to run the ball hone down the tube. For one thing, it'll go much deeper than what the reamer did, and should clean out any of the lye residue that's down deeper in the tube. Oh yeah, that looks nice. Okay. Now I'm going to take it out to the garage and blow it out with some compressed air, clean everything up, and spray some rough proofing in the tubes.